That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about
The Woman in the Yard.
the 12th film directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, which Universal Pictures is releasing March 28th, 2025.
12 films?
Yeah, we've actually reviewed his last three, Jungle Cruise, Black Adam, and Carry On. But he did that cycle of Liam Neeson movies that included Unknown, Run All Night, The Commuter, Nonstop. And then you did like his Blake Lively shark thriller, The Shallows, and I think we both liked Orphan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been around. He's usually pretty good with genre.
What is The Woman in the Yard about? A mysterious woman repeatedly appears in a family's front yard, often delivering chilling warnings and unsettling messages, leaving them to question her identity, motives, and the potential dangers she might pose. What is your pull quote?
Beware, as when you wish for death, she'll kindly stop for thee. This film has spots where it excels in some banality.
Yeah.
It's an original Nicholas Emily Bell Dickinson poem.
Oh, God. Mine. Deadwyler rises above The Woman in the Yard's shortcomings with a haunting performance.
I actually had a real pull quote as well.
Oh, go ahead.
Deadwyler excels in this familiar folkloric parable about keeping one's inner demons at bay or else risk them consuming you.
Okay, I knew nothing about this film. I hadn't watched the trailer. I didn't even know it was a Blumhouse film. Mm-hmm. So when I showed up and saw that it was, I thought, oh, okay. I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. I will say the subject matter and the performance from Danielle Deadwyler exceeded my expectations for sure.
Oh, Deadwyler elevates the hell out of this.
I was quite emotional and kind of connected to her performance and the character. I do see why people are disappointed.
Well, it's another PG-13 Blumhouse that they held from the press until the day of, which is strange. But you know, she was my favorite part of in his film Carry On as well.
Well, and the remake of the August Wilson, The Piano.
Oh yeah,
lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was the best part of that. But yeah, I wouldn't qualify this as like straight up horror. It feels more like a psychological.
Yes, and again, it's very reminiscent of a whole lot of other films, which we can get into.
I'm not even sure how I feel about this film yet. When I give my score at the end, it'll be a surprise to all of us.
Oh, wow, okay.
The story is pretty simple. Danielle Deadwyler plays this woman,
Ramona,
who wakes up on a day. This all happens on a day. But what do we know about her? She's married with 2 children. Her family moved from the city to this farm. So they're in like a rural farm area. And her husband has recently died, like within the last few weeks, as a result of a car accident they were both in. So on this day, we see her being awakened by her son. Clearly, she's still grieving. She was also injured. She had a pretty bad leg injury, and we see her wearing a brace. Mm-hmm. So her son has to wake her up. She is not having it. It's also clear that she's not handling business around the house because the power's gone out. The kids don't have the food they need. The dog doesn't even have food. The son, who appears to be maybe like a teenager, like 14, he's basically like the man of the house, trying to prepare breakfast, get his sister, who looks like maybe she's 5 or 6, get her together. But immediately the son tells the mom, who then comes out for breakfast, there's a woman in the yard. So Danielle goes out there, and for some reason, like no one's phone is charged, or maybe only Danielle Deadwyler's character has a phone, but it's dead and there's no power. So she goes out, talks to this woman, and the woman's basically like, I don't know why I'm here, but you're not gonna do shit about it. And I know your husband's not coming home because he's dead. So Danielle Deadwyler freaks out. But then the woman tells her, like, I don't know why you're so bothered. You called me, so I'm here. And that's when you realize, oh.
You know immediately.
You know immediately what
this
is. Mm-hmm. She's death. But the gag is that the death is like suicide. That Danielle's character basically wants to kill herself. So the next hour is the family, the 3 of them, trying to figure out what to do. And it takes a while for this, what's the entity's name?
Okwui, Okpokwasili, who we saw her in Exorcist Believer.
who has a fantastic look.
Oh, she was giving me Grace Jones doing Gozer playing Red Light, Green Light.
Also, what's old girl's name from Greenleaf?
Lynn Whitfield?
No, Pastor Greenleaf's son, who was married to the lady.
Oh, yes. The one that's married to Lamont Rucker.
Lamont Rucker's wife in Greenleaf. Yeah, I really liked her too. But it takes a while for her to like get in the house, and then of course then it becomes like a standard like haunting kind of thing, which I think that's when it starts to go downhill.
And I think the third act resolution is really where it suffers. Like we really needed to take some time navigating some emotional depths.
But ultimately we realize that this entity represents Danielle Deadwyler's character wanting to commit suicide. And so I'm here to get the job done. And it seems like the entity has convinced her to do so. And right as she's about to do it, she's reminded of her daughter, because the daughter had given the mom her stuffed toy.
Which immediately, you know, when that penguin gets left behind, that is going to be saving the day. Yes.
Also, Danielle Deadwyler's character had sent the kids off to go to the neighbor's house, which is supposed to be like miles away, and they're on foot because she knows what she's going to do, so she doesn't want them there. But at the last minute, like right before she's about to pull the trigger on this rifle, she decides not to, walks out of the house, and the kids are there, which we need to get to. And then it seems like everything's going to be okay, and I believe it's a little girl who says, like, is that lady coming back? And the mom says, maybe, but next time we'll know what to do. The end. I was very moved by Danielle Deadwyler's character and what she's going through. But at the end I felt like, this felt like if like Blumhouse trying to make Babadook. They just couldn't help but like kind of do like a half-assed version of it.
Well, it's doing this, it's any combination of The Woman in Black, The Babadook, Jordan Peele's Us. I was getting a lot of but mixed with something like Sally Field and Places in the Heart.
What did I like? Of course, Danielle Deadwyler. Of course, the actor playing the entity. I like the sort of basic premise of like the death representing this character's desire to end her own life. That felt pretty subversive, especially for a PG-13 Blumhouse movie. And also considering that you're not even allowed to say suicide, like on social media, you'll be like demonetized. So probably this video is going to be demonetized. But
You can just blank that out.
well, you know, everyone's like afraid to even say that. Everyone's saying unaliving and stuff. So it's like the fact that this storyline is so graphic about her intention, I was impressed.
And I like Peyton Jackson as the kid playing Taylor, the son. I liked him more than you did. I thought he did a fine job with a script that he was given of playing this frustrated teenager.
No.
Trying to keep it together with mom.
Okay, and I also like the cinematography. Okay.
Oh, Pavel Pogorzelski, who has lensed all of Ari Aster's films, is the cinematographer.
Okay. The story. I don't like that the kids can see the entity. Because then I feel like I almost wish it were more like the entity were a person who's like ingratiated themselves into the home and slowly infecting the mother with this idea of killing herself.
Pasolini.
Or the kids just not see it. Like maybe as the audience, it's unclear to us that this is not a real person, and that the kids are just noticing that mom's acting weird or that she's becoming, distant and irritable. But yeah, the fact that the kids can see the entity really bothered me.
And interact with it.
And they're interacting with it. Then I did not like the performances from either of the children. I thought the son was, I mean, again, it's the material he was given, but I just he seems like an empathetic teenage boy. Like he's preparing breakfast for his sister, he's getting his mom up, but then he also seems really unreasonable. Like, yo, daddy died 2 weeks ago. And your mom is not only grieving the loss of her husband, but she's also injured. So I didn't think that the way he was written made sense.
But the teenagers, though.
Yeah, but would that same teenager who's being a dick to his mom also get her up and make breakfast?
I believe that, yeah.
I think that he would eventually snap, but he just seemed kind of a jerk from the get-go.
Well, it's supposed to be kind of like a hothouse. There's no electricity, you can't play video games. Like she won't let, she's kind of emasculated him a bit because, he knows how to drive, he says, and he can't go get help from the neighbors, and she's,
I had to pay to watch this movie because I went to the wrong theater for the press screening. So I was in the theater and I was seated next to some other people of color, and the scene where he calls his mom a bitch.
Ooh, yeah.
I called my mom a bitch once and she hit me in the back of the head with a plate. But
I saw this in DC, and I think there were only people of color in there.
and the audience was like, and I was fully expecting her to go off, and she doesn't. At the same time that he calls her a bitch, he's also like bouncing a ball against the wall. She told him to stop, and she gets up and snatches the ball. But considering that she's about to kill herself, I was expecting her to fully whoop his ass. But okay, so I didn't like the way the kids, the daughter is a little too like bubbly and like cutesy for me.
Yeah.
I just didn't care for it. But then at a point, the mom is like having visions or dreams, and it seems like, or hallucinations. And at one point, she dreams that she kills the daughter. So then I thought, damn, is this lady trying to do an Amanda or an Andrea
Yates?
The lady who killed Susan. Well, both of them killed their kids.
Yeah.
Like, was she thinking about doing one of those?
Who's the one that Farrah Fawcett played? Diane Downs.
Diane Downs. Like, is she going to do one of those? But then it's almost like this, it's like the script was pretty bold. Like, it's taken us pretty far, but then it kind of like pulled back.
Yeah.
Because we see her stab her daughter, and then it's just a pillow. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get a full understanding of like, what, like this could have really been subversive if they would have gone that extra step.
Yeah.
But
it's doing this thing with dualities, right? Like of mirror reflections that because it's like life and death are what the two women are representing. But there's so many other plays on it that they're so obvious that it gets kind of distracting.
Well, that was my final thing I didn't like, is this sort of idea of mirrors and dreams. And then at the end, because the actual final scene is her dreaming. And she's with her husband.
It's a scene we've seen 3 times.
And we've already seen it before, but this time it's very clear that it's a mirrored image, because like we see that the phone, like the digital clock is mirrored, that some writings are mirrored. And then the husband says like, doesn't this feel like a dream?
Who's played by Russell Hornsby.
Who I liked.
Who's in Fences, speaking of August Wilson.
So I was frustrated with that, because then it's like, wait, so this script I think didn't take me where I needed to be to then play with the idea of like, was this all in her head? Is she just, because I think anyone who's been to that, as people like to say, the dark night of the soul, like, when you think about it, I don't know. This could have worked so well.
I don't know. There's a lot of symbolism. Like the kid, the Tay gets his dad's lighter out of so the dad's representative of the light as well, and mom's the dark. Like this flashback we get to the car crash. They have a argument in a restaurant, and she snatches the keys. She's going to drive the car, and you see a marquee in the movie theater. It's the mirror has 2 faces. The daughter can't write an R correctly, which was giving me The Shining, but of course she's only spelling red, and red spelled backwards is der.
Yeah, it's like very obvious, and it doesn't not work for me.
Again, I think, although I really didn't like the third act, after everything we've come through, the scene of the 2 women in their shadow forms like clutching each other, I thought there's some pretty haunting imagery in there.
Oh yeah. Again, there are a lot of things that do work. I think so the entity confronts the son and tells him, because the son locks the mother in a room, rips off the doorknobs, and then, because they live in like an old-timey house, and then he goes in the dad's like safe to get the gun, and we see that there are no bullets,
just one,
except for one. But we don't want to learn that until the end. But he goes out to confront this lady, and I just thought, wow, you just pulled a gun on like
this lady.
I mean, granted, she's kind of creeping you out, but anyway, she says, you don't know the truth. You don't know about the night that your mom and dad got into the accident. Your mom's lying to you. And so he confronts his mom, holding the gun, talking to his mom kind of crazy. Again, I just didn't like the way that boy was written. But Danielle Deadwyler's character immediately tells the truth, and then we get a flashback to that night. I thought that scene was very well done because basically the issue is that she's not happy with her life. And yes, she agreed to move to this farm. Yes, she agreed all the things that she said yes to, but I'm not happy. And what am I supposed to do? And I really, like, that just felt so real to me. And I really connected to her saying these words and the husband pleading with her, like, this is a problem that only the two of us can solve. Like, you can't just give up on me. Because she says, well, then maybe I just need to go. All of that I thought was so well done.
Yeah, and it gets to kind of a authenticity between in relationships that so few films, especially genre films,
And
stray.
so I was so bummed because I thought, damn, the performance from her and the husband were so good that I feel like I would, like, can someone take that scene and make a drama out of it with those two actors? Because I think that would have been, and it still could have been so dark because what if this were a drama about these two characters and this issue they're having with the same situation, this farm, and that the result is that this woman kills herself. How gut-wrenching it would have
dark.
been. Like, how gut-wrenching it would have been. So,
Hollywood money doesn't do that.
yeah.
But I think it's a first narrative written by Sam Stefanak, and I think it just needed a little bit more polishing. But again, I think Deadwyler really throws herself into this, like she has in everything I've seen her in.
I have to get back to when she sets the kids free. Well, I thought that scene was very moving because the entity is telling her, like, girl, this is what I'm here to do. And because when she tells her originally, like, today's the day you called, I came, then we get a flashback to her because we saw her in the beginning of the movie get out of bed and she uses crutches and she's saying, like, give me the strength. But then when the entity tells her, like, well, you told me, you said give you the strength, but what you meant was give me the strength to kill myself. I found that very moving, that moment. But she's like, when the entity's telling her, like, let's get the job done, you can see Danielle's character sort of contemplating, like, well, are my kids going to be okay? And that's what the entity takes a light and, like, we see pictures of her kids on the wall.
Yeah, that was
and
creepy.
then I thought it was really well done because she passes the light in front of them and it basically tells the future. And it looks like the son's going to become a veterinarian, the daughter's going to graduate college and meet a very nice man and get married.
But she's like, you have to let them go.
But you have to let them go. And I thought it all felt very like, I don't know, I almost feel like if Ari Aster had done this film with her and this, like,
Oh, yeah, well,
like what it could have been.
Markedly different,
But
yes.
then she tells her kids, okay, go off to the neighbors. And I just hated that the kids come back. Like, what did they do?
So quickly. It just
quickly.
rushes things through. Because once you realize that the entity is moving into the house through light, because as a shadow, and that's where I was like, this is where it cuts a major corner where Danielle Deadwyler screams, we have to find the darkness.
We have to stay in the dark and
Like,
they go in the attic.
Okay, that's...
How you know?
Exactly. Like, that was a fast, again, and then especially with the end, with the lights, the power coming back on, and again, it's all metaphorical, but it's like, it just seems so rushed and haphazard. Like, oh.
In the beginning, we see Danielle's character in bed and she's like sort of stuck. She doesn't want to get out of bed because she's obviously depressed. And she's just like replaying this video of her husband talking to her about the farm. And
Naming it, actually.
naming it. And at the end of the film, we see that they did name the farm. It's called Iris Haven. What did you think of that?
Because she likes irises.
That's right, that she likes the flower.
Yes.
My final note is a shout out.
But I think I was going to mention that scene too. It doesn't have the impact when you see Iris Haven that it should.
No. Yeah, it does feel kind of rushed.
Yeah.
Like, we could have pared down some things.
Because it's a short film.
Yeah. But my final note is to give a shout out to the set designer because in the bathroom for this black family who's all wearing their hair natural, they have some pattern conditioner in there. Tracy Ellis Ross's hair care line, which I appreciated that. So I wanted to say that I did notice.
Care was taken. Not in the script, per se.
I still don't know how I feel about this movie and whether or not I would say it's rotten or fresh.
Because I walked out of it thinking, because I got emotional a couple times watching Danielle Deadwyler in some of her moments, but then thinking through it, it's like, yeah, but there's stuff that just doesn't sit that well.
What would you give The Woman in the Yard?
2.5.
I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5 off the strength of the storyline and Danielle Deadwyler's performance. Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.